So, Herman, tell me about. You said Angelo Dundee was your mentor.
Yeah.
Talk about your first days in the gym and.
Well, I was very young.
Uh-huh.
I'll be 49 this year, and I was 21
Wow.
when I met Angelo, and I was, was a martial artist first and foremost, and that's what I've done. And since I was 5 years old, and I owned a martial arts school at that time when I was 16, 17 years old, and by the time I was 21 years old, I was well into my martial arts career. And I wanted to better my abilities as a hands coach for the kickboxing fighters that I was training. So I figured I'd just go, peek around in some gyms, and I floated around a few gyms, got thrown out because, as boxing is, they thought I was a spy. I was just there quietly watching, and I'm just trying to pick up things. And one particular coach sent me to Dundee's that was in my area because I was traveling, miles, at least hours away from where I was. I didn't know really where there was a local boxing gym because it wasn't my field. It was a martial artist, and boxing was a new thing I was trying to learn. And sent me to Angelo's, and he thought I came referred to him as a fighter. I was fit. I was
21 years old.
Yeah, he thought I was a fighter. So the funny story is I started training, and a few weeks later I sat in his office. I said, "Mr. Dundee is." By then I know who the hell the man is. Really know who.
Who did he have in the gym then?
He had George Scott. He had,
George Scott. Okay.
Attila Levin. He had Michael Nunn. It was a few guys there.
Just got out of jail, Michael Nunn, right?
Yeah, that was like 90. I want to say that was 91. And I said to him, why am I doing all the physical training to be a boxing coach? And he said, oh, you want to be a boxing coach? Oh, so then you're the dumbest guy I know. He said, you can fight a little bit. You speak English and Spanish. You got green eyes. You're a good-looking dude. We can make a ton of money together. I said, yeah, with all due respect, Mr. Dundee, I just really want to be a boxing coach.
Wow.
Come from martial arts, you're always teaching. So that was my trait. I was always teaching. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher. As a martial artist, when you start, there is no money involved in that glory. You just one day you're a black belt, and then you are an instructor. You're teaching. That's the glory in martial arts, and that's what I wanted to attribute the same was for boxing. That I would just be a coach. I thought the glory would be being a boxing coach and helping people. It became very natural to me. He said, "Okay, Mr. Lagerman outside is in charge. Whatever he says, you do, and I'm the boss. And like you said, you're the dumbest guy I know, and you're not going to make money in this business until about 30 years in.
Wow.
You're going to last that long?" I said, "Of course, yeah." I thought I was going to have a heavyweight champion in a year.
Yeah, we all think that.
Yeah, of course. And 26, 27 years later, here I am. But yeah, I was with him for 8.5 years, with him there in the gym.
Any cool stories?
South Florida. He was. There was a lot. There was a lot of cool stories.
Sure, I'm sure.
And what he really was fantastic in is such a motivator, such a psychological.
I hear him in the corner.
Really good in his work in the gym because it wasn't physical, but he spoke and what he said and the things he told you and the stories he would attribute with the teachings that he did, and he was a genuine, soft-spoken, angry when he had to be, but he was genuinely cared for the well-being of the fighter and what his outcome was going to be. He didn't put his name out there first. Like, he didn't care if he lost. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about that. It was about really just doing the job and performing, and he loved the sport. He really did honestly love the sport and love the people in the sport and the fighters, and that was that. I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's really so many stories, all with that. With that kind of. But he would tell you, if you don't, like for a southpaw, to give you an example, every southpaw, if you don't finish with a hook, if you're a southpaw, it's because you don't want to win the fight. That's what he said about southpaws. On top of that, they should all just be banned from boxing. He hated southpaws. That's A. And then he would just angles. If you didn't show angles in the bag work and in the mitt work and just in sparring, he would throw you out of the gym.
Really?
Yeah, he was big on angles, big on just always working and angles and. And feints and things like that. So he was an old school dude, of course, right? But he showed me a lot. I was a good coach before I met Angelo. Like I said, I came up as a martial artist, so I was always teaching. So I honed my skills as a kickboxer and as a martial artist as far as teaching is concerned. So I could always teach. And then boxing is, yes, it's an art and it's a science, but I was halfway there, if not more. But what I learned with Angelo was the patience and how to individualize everyone. He would never treat a person the same. You know, how he treated Ali was not how he treated Leonard or Foreman or any of the guys.
Were you ever in the gym with Ali and all them?
No.
That was after. That was after, right?
That was way after.
He never came back?
Of course.
Okay, never came back.
Yeah, he came many times. Much love there between them two. And so, you know, I learned the psychological edge of the sport in the corner work. Consider myself, you know, taught by the best in the corner. If not the best cornerman, one of the best cornermen in the business.
Him and Emmanuel Stewart are right there.
Guaranteed.
You know what I mean? You
throw
them up, and you just one just falls out the hat. You know what I mean?
And like I said, I've been blessed. You know, because today you have good coaches, but a lot of coaches that don't have that, you know, mentoring. You know, I didn't touch a fighter in there for at least a year and a half. He wouldn't allow me to. You know, just clean up. I was the bucket boy, literally. Cleaning and this and that. And
everybody's second, right?
Everybody's second. I was the second. You know? You know? And he was big on that. You know, you gotta learn. You gotta pay your dues. He said, you gotta pay your dues. So this is the route you want to take. Now you're gonna pay your dues. And you know, and I felt I did. And then he gave me a nice going away towards the end on an ESPN telecast where we won by knockout, and he, you know, introduced me as his next greatest boxing coach. But we're talking, when was that? That must have been 1997, 98, something like that. And he said, "This is the next big thing. Look out for him." So I thought that was cool. Beautiful. And after that, he really didn't. He kind of lent his name out after about 98, 99. He lent his name out, and that's how you got that Fifth Street Boxing in South Florida. That wasn't Angelo, and that wasn't an active Angelo. He retired after that from being in corners and taking active fighters. But you know, I have great memories of that. You know, so that was for me how now I can see, as many years later, why the foundation and why I'm having the success that I'm having is because I was taught the right way. I was shown the right way. You know, and you have to be disciplined. And that comes from my martial arts background. That doesn't come from boxing. My martial arts background is what gives you the discipline and the drive to do this on a daily basis, the same shit on a daily basis. I mean, it's kind of like prison, right? It's just a routine. It's not going to get any prettier, and it's not going to get any easier. But you got to do it every day, and that gives you that. You know? So I think I have a nice balance, you know. And whether I'm one day will be the greatest of all time or just a good coach and known as a good coach, it's not why I do it. I do it legitimately to help and to change the lives of the fighter that I'm working with, that I believe in wholeheartedly, and that I want, you know, to see if I can make him a champion, like I've done a few times already.
Sure.
So that's in a nutshell my background.
And
thanks for asking.
Okay, thank you. Any Ali stories?
You know, just when I met him, he was always very quiet and soft-spoken, joke, you know, a lot of jokes, but nothing past the gym and stuff like that. You know, it was never.
Wow, you got to shake both them hands, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to hear something funny? You know what I took for granted in high school? I went to high school with Layla Ali.
Oh, is that right?
I took it for granted, man. I just assumed he wasn't speaking at the time. I went to high school 94, 95, but I mean, well, he was declining, I should say.
Yeah.
You know, and I took it for granted.
Yeah.
Me and Layla had 6 period together because she was in sports. I played basketball, and we had a cool relationship. And I just took it for granted that was Ali's daughter.
Yeah.
You know, I could have pushed. I'm not saying she invited me to her house, but I could have pushed her to introduce me to her dad.
Right.
I had a whole year to do it, and I didn't do it. You know.
Yeah, you know what I mean? As a kid, you don't really...
Yeah, I take that. Yeah, take that stuff for granted. You know what I mean? You know.
Checking her out.
Yeah, she was tough though.
Yeah.
She was kind of tomboy. She was tough. She was tough. Yeah, she was tough. I didn't know. Which one.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? And but I look back at that and I says, damn.
Yeah. I can probably say the same thing about myself because. By the time that I figured out who Angelo really was, I wasn't a boxing fan when I came in. I was as whole into martial arts as I am whole into boxing now.
Gotcha.
So my transition was, you know, some people don't know. I knew who Ali was, of course, but I didn't know who was behind the Ali thing. So when I met Angelo, it took a minute. Now, by the 3rd week, I saw all the pictures and everything, and I did my homework, and I was like, damn. You know, it became even a little intimidating.
Yeah, because you didn't have smartphones then.
You know what I mean? You still had to go to the encyclopedia.
Yeah, Britannica, right? Britannica.
Shit, the Records Fight Facts was a book. It was a huge book, this big, and you just looked through.
No,
records.
no box rec.
It was it was updated once a year. This is how it was in the 80s.
Wow.
So I took for granted, and then you know, when I met Ali, of course I know who he was, and I was in awe then. But I took for granted for a little bit the tutoring and the mentoring. He was just one of the guys in the gym. Angelo was just one of the guys in the gym. Joked, you know, when the camera was on, he was a superstar. But when he wasn't, he was a down to earth, normal dude. Tell you a joke with dirty words in it, and just just everybody's grandpa. Really.
So his big personality on camera that we saw was transitioned over in private as well.
In private, he was your grandfather. He was awesome. He was an advice giver. He was a mentor. He was a disciplinarian, that's for sure. And he was all those things, and you just take it for granted because you go in and you're just working, and you want to do the best job possible. And my job was cleanup, but you want to be the best cleanup guy. You don't want to get yelled at for the shit being not clean. And then as it progressed, he was like, hey, take this kid. And my first fighter they gave me under the Dundee tutelage was a fighter named Nick Rupa. And worked with him. And I remember training him like he was a world champion, you know. Nick had a few losses, and it was like, slow down. You know, it's like, and then another kid, Terry Ray, who was a cruiserweight, who ended up fighting Robert Daniels for a fight.
Okay. And
Terry was like the same thing. Man, I'm fucking 40 years old, you know. I'm not, you know, it's like, oh, I'm excited, man. So, you're my responsibility. You can't lose, you know. So it was a fun time. It really was. Lou Lagerman, who's a great coach, a great person, and he was really the main reason that I'm here today, because Lewis was very encouraging. That was Dundee's head coach at the gym and at the time, and he was very encouraging when I thought I made the wrong choice. But I'm the type of person, if I'm shit knee deep in it, I'm going the whole way. Wow. I'm not cutting back. I'm not cutting my, you know, if I swim halfway out, I'm not swimming back.
Sure. I'm
going, you know, and that's how I've been. So, but he was encouraging him, and of course, and you know, my wife, you know, who just always supported the crazy shit that I did, you know, and that was really that's my whole story, boy.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the time. Any closing remarks? Again?
No, you know, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm always happy to talk to good journalists.
Thank you, man.
And boxing riders that really, you know, are sincere about what they write.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.